Hi guys, the Horror Appraisal here with another great review. I'm Sam,
And I'm Evan.
and today we're going to do one that's a little out of character for us.
Yeah, it's actually a film within the past 6 years, released in 2008.
2008.
It's a slasher.
It's an incredibly rare film that you're probably not going to be able to get for a cheap price, I don't think, or in Region 1 coding.
That's right. It's a film called Gutterballs.
Done by Ryan Nicholson. It's one that I took a chance on and ordered on Amazon back in it was like 2010 maybe.
Yeah.
And I remember being really excited to get it just because it seemed like one of those incredible new slashers that goes back in time.
What made you? What about it really made you like look through Amazon and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get that?
Just it sold itself on being really gory. It sold itself on being an honest slasher as far as that's concerned. It doesn't make any bones about it. It says that it's a balls out uncut edition and stuff. By the way, there's a lot of different editions of this that you can buy. Some longer than others.
That's right. It's a film definitely noted for its gore.
It's super violent.
Yeah.
So you end up with these. I guess they're teens, but maybe
Sure.
college age people.
Sure.
You basically
young adults.
you have two groups set up in this movie,
Yeah.
and you kind of have a good group and a bad group.
Yeah, you got your preppy a-holes. you have your bad guy who typically laughs like that. So that's always a staple in a bad guy group is the guy who laughs like a ferret, like RoboCop or anything else. So you always have a bad guy like that. And basically, the film, it's kind of a revenge film because at the beginning of it.
It's a toss back to like I Spit on Your Grave and stuff like that.
This group of guys, absolutely reprehensible characters, very brutally assault a young woman in a bowling alley. It's called the Excalibur, and their assault on her is very. I'm going to be honest with you. I was very uncomfortable watching.
There's no humor about it at all.
This scene. It's kind of like the Jodie Foster film, The Accused. They put her up on the pinball machine and they assault her and many other different ways. Just absolutely brutalize this woman and very, very uncomfortable to watch.
It's kind of like with I Spit on Your Grave, where they all take turns, and there's one guy that's kind of uncomfortable with it, but he still ends up being just as guilty because he doesn't do anything to stop this, and he ends up being the guy that shoves a bowling pin inside of her, and it's a very violent scene.
Yeah. So after that, we actually cut to something I kind of liked about the movie. We cut to opening credits, and it's sort of in the same vein as the beginning montage of the original Nightmare on Elm Street, where you just see the construction of the glove and the murder weapon. It's a great montage scene of someone who's getting ready to kill, and that's actually I kind of feel like maybe they had that in mind when they did this kind of scene with Gutterballs. You have like
The bowling bag killers
like sharpening the bowling pins and making different weapons out of them. It's much sillier than, of course, the original Nightmare on Elm Street with like the construction of the glove at the beginning, but it's still that you're watching somebody who's getting ready to do some killing.
Well, it's got some kind of 80s kind of retro pop, electro pop music going on, and it definitely lightens the mood a lot. It's funny because when this movie starts out, it's kind of light like that, and then all of a sudden the rape scene happens, and the music is super intense and real. You're like, holy crap. But then you kind of go back to that less serious vibe, like he's saying with the montage in the beginning. And then these two groups of people kind of come back to the bowling alley. They're ready to square off in an after-hours bowling tournament kind of thing.
Yeah, ready to play their bowling tournament game. And, of course...
the girl that got raped actually ends up coming back, and she kind of surprises the perpetrators a little bit by doing that.
Yeah.
People get picked off.
That's actually kind of thing that amazes me about this movie is one by one they everyone kind of gets picked off, and you're left with less and less people bowling. And it's kind of like, didn't they stop after at least 2 or 3 and be like, hey, where is everybody?
Well, they kind of did do that. You get this guy that says fuck more than Bill Moseley.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
the most reprehensible character. We actually got to a point in the film where...
Well, he brings 2 bitches with him.
Yeah.
He calls them his bitches. I mean, he brings 2 women with him in that night.
But like you were saying, I mean, he says the F word a lot. We got to a point in the film where we finally stopped. You know, we were like, this guy says the F word quite a lot.
Last 18 minutes.
And we started watching the last. I said, I bet he says the F word at least. I bet this film at least says the F word 50 more times. And 30 of them were his, or 20 of them were his, and that was his final scene.
It was like 30. I think it was like 29. It was 29.
And how many F words did we get till the end of the film?
It was 72 fucks in the last 18 minutes.
That's got to be more than Pulp Fiction.
That's a lot.
Like per minute, and we didn't even count.
It was 4 fucks per minute. I think wasn't Devil's Rejects something like 7?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. It was once you start paying attention to it, you realize that the movie cursed a lot. Which the dialogue of this film, in my opinion,
it's clever. A lot of it's clever. There are a lot of really clever, hard lines to say.
Well, I guess I didn't really feel that way, to be honest.
Maybe it's a lot like my sense of humor.
Yeah. Because I was going to say that I didn't feel the dialogue for this movie was that great. Which, whatever, it's a low-budget horror movie. You're not expecting, Titus Andronicus here.
The dialogue does not take itself seriously, and if it tried to take itself seriously, it would suck.
That's a good point, I think. I mean, it's like I said, it's a horror movie. It's a gore film. You didn't go to see, like I said, William Shakespeare or anything. So
correct.
Yeah.
I like the way this movie kind of, the way the kills start. You start with kind of a mild suffocating on a dick, suffocating on a pussy kind of kill. These people are having, 69 fun. And they basically just choke on each other's genitals. But as the movie goes, the kills get more brutal and more violent. And, you're even actually sitting there by the end. You're kind of like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the best slasher kills you can imagine.
I'm. This is weird, man, because I really had a hard time watching this movie because so much of it made me uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah, and because I'm usually okay with just about anything in a horror film. It's just the over the topness of it. For me, it almost felt like
it pushed the limit too much.
Yeah, it was just a little too much.
What is this, like Cannibal Holocaust for you in a bowling alley?
Wow. That's like, if I could have done a review on it, I would have said Cannibal Holocaust in a bowling alley. That's exactly what I would have said. That's actually pretty apt. I like a good slasher as good as anyone else, and you know what? It's supposed to be silly in the fact that this guy, he's called the bowling bag killer. It's a dude who wears a bowling bag on his head,
and there is a twist on that. It's not just a dude, so
right. But that's my point. I mean, obviously that can't be taken that seriously. But the movie, I think I've seen worse movies. It's just it's a bit sophomoric, like I said, just in the way the dialogue is. But like I said, I guess it's intended to be that way, and just the over the top gore. It actually,
it's just a straight up slasher.
There was actually a couple parts with the gore that I thought were really fun, but there's one that you probably know what I'm talking about that I couldn't even watch. Anyway,
there was a scene where
tread lightly.
This person is a cross-dresser.
He's a guy.
And he's working on getting his surgery, okay? And first of all, the bowling bag killer makes him choke on a bowling pin in a bathroom stall, which is disgusting enough. And you hear the jaw breaking, dislocating, choking. And then the bowling bag killer does what? Can you say this?
He eviscerates his manhood.
He cuts open this. Yeah. He cuts open her. Don't be too graphic. Cuts open the tights, the panties, or the pantyhose. Grabs the penis, and
there's no reason for that.
Takes a switchblade.
Yeah.
And slices it down the middle.
But my point is, this film
Do you have two, like, what are your two favorite kills from this movie? You have to have two favorite kills.
I actually do. And they don't involve genital mutilation.
There's a lot of it in this one.
Yeah, like I said, if it had one, but like what
There's a lot of penis in this.
There's a great kill in this film that I actually did like. It involves one of those ball polishers in the bowling alley. And basically, the guy gets like the hot wax stuff going, the ball, and like the killer like slams his head into it, and like it polishes like his forehead off, and then he like brings him back up, and you can see like where it's done its work, and then like he slams him back in there and does more.
Definitely a great.
That was a good
the weasel
kill.
Guy.
Yeah, that was a good kill. I had no problem with that.
It's a great kill.
I had no problem with that. It's just that like.
What about the worst guy? Did you like his kill?
Oh, dude,
he got sodomized with a. I mean, it was kind of retribution.
Well,
you felt cool about it. I mean, he got sodomized very bloodily with a sharpened bowling pin.
Yeah,
and then he got his face beat in with a full size.
That's not my other favorite kill though. The other kill that I liked was where the guy got his face stabbed through both sockets.
Both eyes. Yeah. Great kills in this.
That was a good gore film, but like I said, those were okay for as like horror.
What about the night? The night armor with two bowling balls.
I actually forgot about that. That was pretty cool.
There's a scene. I know a lot of you aren't going to be able to see this because it's so rare, so I'll just go ahead and spoil it.
Yeah, you can show clips.
There's a scene where the bowling bag killer is in this suit of armor that's in this bowling alley. And
well, it's the Excalibur, so it's okay that it's themed that there's knight armor there.
Yeah. Holding two bowling balls, okay, and this girl's crawling on the ground, kind of looking for her friend.
Actually, just really quick, my first thought was, why the hell is there knight armor there? And then it took me a while to remember that the name of the bowling alley was the Excalibur because like nothing else is. Go ahead.
It's kind of a cool accessory for the alley.
Yeah.
Anyway, this chick is crawling on the ground. She's looking for her friend's stuff, and she finds her panties under the foot of this knight. Anyway, long story short, the knight is holding two bowling balls. Well, it's the bowling ball killer in the knight armor.
Right.
Raises him up like this, and bam, right on the chick's head. And it basically pops the top of her skull open, and her brains end up on the ground. Mm-hmm. No censorship.
Right.
It is completely violent.
Yeah, it certainly is. Like I said, for me this movie is just sort of okay. It's just I'm just really not over like the uncomfortableness of the rape and
there's the rape, yeah,
and the genital stuff. I mean that to me seemed just kind of pointless, and I love horror films and I love gore films.
Well, what about like on I Spit on Your Grave when the guy gets his dick cut off?
Well, but so much of that in I Spit on Your Grave, so much of that is left to the imagination. You don't see her actually do it. You just know he's not. She's caressing him in the bathtub. She's lulled him into a false sense of security.
Right.
And then out comes the knife, and you just see him look down. He's like, "What did you do to me?"
Yeah.
That's scarier to me. That's scarier to me.
Well, it's meant to be a serious film.
Yeah. I guess you could argue that Gutterballs isn't meant to be a serious film.
It's not serious.
Yeah.
I want to say this about Gutterballs. If it was serious, if you really felt like it was a serious slasher, you probably wouldn't be able to watch it.
If you felt like it was a serious slasher, then you shouldn't be allowed to watch films. You should be locked away in a room somewhere with no visual or auditory stimuli.
Let's take this really seriously.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that stupid, then you need to not have the freedom to be able to watch whatever you want.
Well, I mean, I don't know. As far as slasher films go, how would you rate the kills out of 10 on this one in comparison to other 80s slashers?
What's wrong with you? Fuck, where the fuck is fucking bitch? Fucking cocksucker. Fuck. Fucking. Fuck your face. Right there.
Well,
leaving your emotions out of it.
It's made to be in the vein of kind of an 80s slasher, even though it's from just a few years ago. That's a big thing about the film. But, I mean, like I said, the ones we talked about, there's some imaginative kills in it. But, I mean, honestly, if I'm going to talk about it as a whole, the one that I talked about kind of lowers it for me a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, if I'm going to talk about it as a whole. Because
well, I mean, I'm just talking from like an effective standpoint.
An effective standpoint, I think that I'm still of the opinion that you can do so much more effectively with less than you can do with more. That's just my opinion on the matter.
I can't stop laughing.
Especially for a horror movie. I mean, I'm like emotionally bereft. I mean,
how often do you see him not excited?
Yeah, sorry, by the way. I knew this would be a little different going into this because, like, I'm usually pretty excited about the films we review, but
we wanted to put this out there because it's so rare, and we feel like people should check it out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're gonna feel uncomfortable with some of it, especially if you're a guy, and if you're a woman, it's gonna be hard for you to watch.
I was gonna say, I don't think the uncomfortableness is relegated to either sex. I think it's pretty equitable.
It distributes
in that sense.
The genital mashing both ways.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts about it?
Well, I think that Gutterballs could have been a more memorable and better slasher for me. Like I said, I think they could have done more with less. For, like the night scene where the balls come down and bash her, that was fine. I liked the scene where the guy gets his head polished off. I mean, that's actually a pretty graphic scene.
Even the shotgun stuff is pretty intense.
But, I mean, check it out. That's what these reviews are here for. I mean, to let you know about some stuff that maybe you haven't seen, kind of let you guys know what we think. I mean, we've seen thousands of horror movies, just like probably a lot of you watching have.
I'm probably kind of sick because I really love this film.
Yeah, you probably are.
I love this one a lot. Anyway, you guys have a peaceful day. I'm Sam.
And I'm Evan.
And this has been a horror appraisal of
Gutterballs.
See ya.
Bye.